It's Katie Lee, and this is the IMZ 103 podcast. So we have Alex Austin here in the studio with us today. Alex, what do you do? Why are you here with us today? Why are you Z103?
Katie, I am at Z103 right now because I am a stand-up comedian from Pocatello, and I am just trying to get the word out that there are actually comedy shows in this area, believe it or not.
Yeah, Pocatello was like the last place that I might have thought that there would be a comedy show, but how did you find the comedy scene in Pocatello?
My friend actually kind of started it there in Pocatello, and so this is my coming back tour to where it all started. So at Clydesdale, the bar and lounge there in Pocatello, they started doing these about a year and a half ago. And I kind of just walked in. I knew this promoter for it, and he said, you need to get on stage, because he'd heard me just talk to him. He knew I was funny. And so I got up there, told a bunch of jokes, and he's like, this is what you do from now on, just so you know. And then from that day on, like, I've been there every month, every week for about a year, a little over a year right now. So the only problem is no one knows about it. So I am just looking to kind of get that word out and get my face out. And so that we're bringing in new people all the time for comedy. Mm-hmm. This just isn't a big area for it. You know, I've spent a lot more time in Boise and Salt Lake telling jokes because they have big clubs almost designated for comedy.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we're trying to get that worked out here. And so now... the first week and the last week of every month, we're doing shows every Saturday. And so, you know, I've told crowds of people jokes, you know, and had no reactions. 4 people sitting in a crowd, you can't make them laugh because you are hoping that one of them laughs. And if they don't, it's dead silence. And you're just, all right, well then, next joke, you know?
So do you just move straight on to the next joke?
You have to sometimes, you know, you're just like, whatever. And so... You know, I've seen a lot of comedians bomb in small towns, but it's way easier to tell a crowd of like 150 people a joke because if 40 people are laughing, 150 people are laughing. And so the more people, the more fun. And I can find new comedians in Pocatello and get other people on stage too. And that's like my main goal is just to grow.
Yeah.
Grow the scene.
I totally agree. East Idaho needs some comedy going through it.
They do, dude. It's it's interesting how many like live music events we have. And then those are the only open mics around here. So I go to tell jokes to people that are eating lunch. You know, they've got a burger and fries in their plate, and they're just looking at me like, all right, brother, whatever
So when
you
somebody
want.
starts choking on a French fry, it's your fault.
You're 100% right. And that's happened before, too. Yeah,
So we need to have like emergency guys on the sidelines then?
Those are just waitresses. There's nothing you can do
You
about
think
that.
the waitress is going to know how to do this?
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know nothing about nothing. Okay.
I feel like if you're going to make somebody choke on a French fry, you should probably learn the Heimlich.
You know what? I had a CPR certification like 5 years ago. I let it expire.
Okay, that's CPR. We need Heimlich. If somebody,
yeah.
There's 2 different things.
Yeah, see, I'm not saving a life, girl. I'll tell you that. That's
All right. Well, we're going to add that to your list of things that you might need to do.
We'll write it down.
Okay,
for sure.
okay.
I feel that.
All right. So when is your next show happening?
So my next show is Saturday, October 5th at 7:30 p.m. there at the Clydesdale Bar and Lounge. And I would show up a little bit early. Me and the other comedians are always there just talking to the locals. I say talking to locals like I'm not from here. So a lot of my friends, I live in Pocatello. A lot of my friends that I'm bringing in are from out of town. So I've got out of towners from Salt Lake coming down. I've got a kid from Boise. I've got a kid from Twin and a kid from Burley. And these are all friends I've kind of made along the way. And they're all really funny. They're all good people. And so they're going to be talking to locals, and I'll be introducing them to like the bar owner and stuff because they're kind of like excited. Everyone's really excited about this going on because stage time is hard to find, especially in those big cities. So
okay, so with that, I want you to give us a little taste, radio-friendly taste of your bits that you got. Can you do that? Is that okay?
I think so. I think so. So one of the friends I made along the way. We were out of town. I think it was in Boise, and we were next door to another bar. It was just side by side. And he was like, hey, after the show, they're doing a rich sling next door. And I said, no way. I've never seen anything like that. We have to go. So we got there, and it is exactly what you expect. They are there just whooping on each other. And I'm like, this is so much fun. This is great. And then there's this little guy, and he's dressed up just like one of my favorite rappers.
Okay.
And I was like, that's a persona right there. I have to meet that guy. That's so cool. The chains, the hat, and everything. I'm like, that's awesome. So I go up to him. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? He's like, doing well. I was like, you did well in the match. What was your stage name? Like, I missed that. And he was like, oh, I go by 25 Cent. And for the life of me, I laughed so hard. And he was like, it's not funny. He punched me in the thigh. And so I'm a part of the show all of a sudden. I'm in the ring and I'm like, what is going on, right? That was one of the weirdest things that's ever happened on the road, I'll tell you. But it's a memory, I guess.
That would be definitely a memory for sure.
It was something. One of my first events that I actually got paid for, it was kind of fun because I had done an MMA fight in a cage there in Fort Hall once.
Okay.
And I got paid $25 to do it. And I lost.
That's it?
I got whooped for like
for 25 bucks.
It was so bad. So the first show I had, he was like, all I have is $50 for you. And I was like, I get paid twice as much to not get punched in the face. Are you kidding me right now? And that's when I stopped doing that. I was like, I'm never fighting again. I can just make money telling jokes.
All right. Well, what's like your biggest influences when you're up on stage?
For great comedians, it's hard because a lot of comedians nowadays don't really tell jokes. Like there's the Bert Kreischer. I really like him. He's got great stories. And I love Bill Burr. He's got excellent stories. And that's kind of like the path that I take is storytelling. I'm not great at making stuff up. Everything I tell you is a true story.
Awesome. Love that.
And so those are probably a couple of them. I used to like Kevin Hart. I met Kevin Hart in Boise when I went to his show. No. I've never made anyone cry, laugh at a show, but that's on my list because girl, I fell out of my chair watching him. I'll tell you that. So like that's on the list right now, is to be as funny as some of these famous guys, which is hard because they're professionals.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you ever do like crowd work? I see a lot of crowd work on TikTok, and you gotta have like a fine line of who you pick on too in the crowd.
A lot of the crowd work that I end up doing, they all just ask me like really personal questions.
Oh.
They're like, what was the last bad date you've been on?
What?
And I'm like, all right, so now I got to bring up these awful dates I've been on Tinder with, I guess. I don't know.
Everybody loves a trashy Tinder date story. Come on.
They do. I've got a few of them too, and they loved them. And I was like, okay, so that's my bad dates make you laugh. That's fine. So I wrote them down. That's how jokes go. You make people laugh and write them down. But I don't know. They've asked me really weird stuff before. And so I try to stray away from the crowd work because I'm not answering nothing like that. I'm just here to tell you stories that I'd like to tell.
Love it. Okay. Yeah. So tell us where we can find you on social media so we can keep track of where you're going to be next and where you're going.
Okay. So all of my social medias are Alex Austin Comedian. Pretty easy, simple. And that's Facebook, Alex Austin Comedian, TikTok. I've got my Snapchat set to that. And on YouTube, you can watch my last half-hour long set that I did in Twin Falls. And that's also Alex Austin Comedian. So it's really easy to find. They're all interconnected. So if you find one, you can find the rest. And I highly recommend going to watch it. I've got more views on that than I expected to have. I sent it to like 8 people and it's got like 200 views on it now.
I was like, maybe like 10.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've got twice as 16 views. No. And so I'm starting to get traction. And that's kind of why I'm here, is just because I've got people I don't know sending me messages and like, I think that's really funny. I'm glad you're doing this. And I'm like, oh wow, I've never even met this person before. So that's cool. I appreciate you having me on. I really do.
All right, man. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us on here. And we can't wait to see what happens with you next.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the IMZ 103 podcast. If you enjoyed the interview, please share, subscribe, and rate the podcast. IMZ 103 is hosted by Katie Lee and is a production of Riverbend Media Group. For more information or to contact the show, visit riverbendmediagroup.com.